Broadcasting live. It's America's longest running talk show on computers. It's Computer America, bringing you the biggest names in technology with guest interviews, new products, and your emails. Listen live at ComputerAmerica.com on any device around the world. Email the show at live@ComputerAmerica.com or find us on social media. Be sure to check out our website for contests, giveaways, show notes, live video stream, podcasts, and more. You're listening to Computer America.
Hello and welcome into the Computer America Show. We are the nation's longest running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers and technology. Thank you for joining us. I'm your host, Ben Crossman, and everyone out there, hey, how you doing? It's been a few days. Hopefully everyone out there is doing well. You are ready for some more Computer America. We have been, we've had repeats for the past 4 shows that we were supposed to have, but we are back, we are live, and hey, guess what? We have a great show planned for you. Where today on the program, we have none other than Sandy Berger, and she is going to help with something that I have been struggling with, and I'm sure many of you will as well, or have in the past. Because, hey, when you go away on vacation, like I just did, what do you do with all the photos? Because it's never been easier to take photos, but how easy is it to share them and share them in a way that is simple, safe, secure? Because, you don't want to, just put them anywhere, but you want to make sure that they are accessible. So joining us today is, again, Sandy Berger, runs Compu-KISS.com. You can definitely check that out. And, of course, check out Computer America after the program, where we will have the show notes, a link to our guest website, and any products, articles, videos, anything that we mentioned here on the program today, we will include in the show notes. While you're there, be sure to check out some of the articles. We have some recent reviews up, and we are looking to put more up here in the next week or two. Just have to get back in the swing of things because, vacations, they take it out of you. So, everyone, once again, thank you so much for tuning in, and let's go ahead and bring on our guest. And as I said before, Sandy Berger, longtime Computer America correspondent. She is our consumer electronics expert. If you have a question about printers, cameras, computers, tablets, phones, anything else that you need to know, well, hey, she's the one for you. So welcome back onto the program, Sandy. Sandy, how you been?
I've been pretty good, Ben. How?
Yeah, I've been dandy is a word, so we'll use that. I've been really good, actually. This is like other than because Computer America takes our break between Christmas and New Year's and a little bit before that. That's our longest break. This is the first time I've taken a week off in about 4 years. So it felt different. It felt wrong, but I did it anyways. So again, thank you for coming on to the show, Sandy.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to be back from vacation. I actually, Ben, I think you probably know this about me. I'm pretty much a homebody person. For 10 or 15 years, I traveled around the country with AARP and others, doing technology shows, television, radio, and all sorts of things that entailed a lot of travel. And when I was done with that, I just said to my husband, I think I want to stay home for a while. And I've been in that mode for quite a while, that I just don't want to go anyplace. But this year was an unusual year for us. We had some friends who wanted to take a trip to Italy, and they wanted to rent a villa there. So we had said, okay, we'll do that, and we'll do it in the end of May. Well, as it turned out, the beginning of May, my niece decided to get married, and that was a little bit unexpected, and her wedding was in Hawaii. So at the beginning of May, we went to Hawaii, and at the end of May, we went to Italy. This is more travel than I've done in a long, long time.
That certainly sounds like a lot of traveling, but of course, I think a lot of listeners out there can, kind of commiserate because, hey, friends and weddings and surprise events, I mean, even things that you don't plan for or you're not expecting, you still really wanted to be there. But hey, it sounds like you got to go to some really, really nice places, so not all bad.
I did. Yeah, I went to 2 great places, with one with family who I hadn't seen a lot of them for a long time, and the other with close friends. So we had a great time. What I found, Ben, though, when I got back, I had a zillion pictures.
Mm-hmm.
and all my friends had pictures, and all my relatives had pictures. And so, in looking for someplace or something to do with all those pictures, I went directly to Google Photos, which happens to be the top photo thing on the web right now. And it's a great program, but there's a lot to it. So that's kind of what I want to talk about. All the things Google Photos can do and things it can't do, things it should do.
Right, and of course there's certainly a lot to cover there because we're going to talk about Google Photos. But uh, I mean, talk about before Google Photos. What was kind of your go-to solution? Maybe people out there are listening and saying, "Well, I put everything up on Facebook and that did well enough," or I put everything onto Google Drive or something like that. I mean, what was your solution to Photos? Kind of before Google Photos.
Well, before Google Photos, I used Picasa, which was also a Google program.
Mm-hmm.
And Picasa was a great program at organizing your photos. But that's basically all it did was organize your photos. And I might still be using it today if they hadn't done so many fabulous things with Google Photos itself. Let's see, Google Photos actually, Picasa did not turn into Google Photos, but they stopped Picasa. They stopped representing it and updating it. And so they wanted you to make the move over to Google Photos. Picasa was a great program,
Mm-hmm.
but Google Photos came on really strong because they offer free storage of all your photos online, as long as they're of a certain quality. You can't do like raw photos or really huge photos unless you pay them for storage. But the free stuff is great, and everybody can use it. They actually started in May of 2015 with Google Photos, and sometime that year they announced they had 1 million users. In
Wow.
2016, they said they had 200 million users. And the last stats that I found were from 2017,
Mm-hmm.
500 million users. That's
I,
a lot of
I,
photos.
yeah, I can't imagine that isn't because obviously Google Photos and Android. I'm sure that Photos is almost a default app or like a recommended app for any Android phone out there. So I guess a lot of people have access to it if they aren't using it already, I guess.
Yeah, I think they do, and that's of course what makes everybody go to it. Also, the free storage is great. Some people are old enough to remember, and I still do have some uh, old photographs in boxes waiting for me to go through them. And that's this is just such a difference in the world of photography, in the world of handling photographs, to go from you just took a picture, you did film, you took that picture and you stuck it in a shoebox someplace, and then you tried to put it in an album or whatever. Well, Google actually does all that for you, so it's a pretty amazing program.
Right. Well, that's actually where my mom was at recently because she started to put together photo albums of photos that we had from a lot of different places, and unfortunately, I think she's up to like 18 photo albums or something like that, and she has way more to go. I mean, she hasn't even hit the years with the kids, and like I said, this was great, but I told her point blank that at the end of all of this effort, and she's putting a lot of effort. I'm probably going to take them somewhere or scan them myself and put them in something like Google's Photos because you can put them in a photo album and that's great, but it's just in today's world it's not shareable. I guess it's not enjoyable if it's not accessible at your fingertips. So
You're right. It's not enjoyable. I mean, when you think, oh, I do you remember that picture that they took of me when I was 15 years old? I'd like to have that picture. Okay, you take your mother's 18 photo albums,
hmm
and she would have, even if she's doing sequentially, you have to go through all these albums to find the right picture, where Google can find it with a snap of a finger for you.
right. Uh,
All of your
mhm.
photos, Google will go, when you install the Google Photo app, it will go through all your devices that you are hooked up with Google on. So that might be a computer, a phone, a tablet, anything you have Google on, it will find your photos, and it will store them in the cloud and make them easily accessible. When I say easily accessible, I think that the technology that they're using is pretty spectacular. Um, you just go in there and you name somebody. So say I had a picture of you. Say I had 20 pictures of you, Ben,
Sure.
and I would just give your name, Ben.
Right.
So 1 to 1, and Google will go ahead and find every photo of you that I have in my whole array of photos. And
Very,
it's
yeah.
so good that I did that for my son, and it found a picture of him, and he's like 40 years old now, but it found a picture of him in his baptismal outfit. Now
That's
imagine
young.
that
Yeah.
that the AI is so good that they can recognize a kid from a baby onto adulthood.
That's
And
scary
yeah,
though, isn't it? That's scary that that's obviously you give permission to Google to scan the photos, but just like emails and everything like that, Google will take the data and kind of just use it as raw data. But it all right, scary is not a thing because I think you and I both agreed that Google's not exactly scary, but it's impressive and yeah.
yeah, it is impressive. And yes, you're giving away your photo, not giving away your photos, but you're allowing Google to use your photos. In this case, to me, it's for a good reason. So that I can access the photos. Now, Google also can find photos by date, and it can find photos by location. So if I said, Google, find all my photos from Rome,
Mm-hmm.
I'll pop all my photos from Rome. And I can, if I've been to Rome several times in the past, I can name a time frame. So it gives me just the photos that I want when I want them. And what they've done with the program over the last 4 years is really pretty amazing because you can now create albums. So I can put all the pictures from Rome from this last trip into an album, and I can take that album and I can share it with others. Now we went to Rome with 6 other couples,
Right.
5 other couples, 6 altogether.
Mm-hmm.
So there were 12 of us. Now, how many pictures did you take when you went to Dallas this year?
Yeah, and so everyone who hadn't heard, the reason that we were off the air for 4 or 5 days there was because I went to Dallas, and while I was at Dallas, I was trying to do the touristy things, so I got about 20 photos a day, so about 100, and of course there's some videos in there, but yeah, about 20 photos a day.
Okay, so now if you imagine that I went with 12 people, and this was not just visiting a city, this was visiting the Vatican and all these things that you want to
Yeah,
take pictures of. We came back with a zillion pictures, unbelievable number of pictures. And so what Google allows you to do is take your pictures and put it into an album and share them with others. So people could send me their best pictures, I could send them my best pictures, and we could put it all together into an album. And that alone, I think, is worth the price of admission, which in this case is free.
yeah, and
Um,
and and just real quick, I mean, when you collaborate with someone to make an album, is that it? And this has to do with permissions, but does someone own the album, or is it like let's say you shared a bunch of photos and they wanted to revoke the photos that they shared
mhm.
back? Is that possible, or do you kind of get them in your collection after you can like kind of save them on your end?
Well, you can
Yeah,
save them on your end, so you can always download a photo from an album and save it on your computer.
I got you.
However, the album is owned by the person who creates it.
I got you.
So I create my album and I share that with 6 other people. Okay, so all those people, I can give them permission to add pictures to the album, but they can't remove the pictures and they can't rearrange them where I can rearrange them.
That's nice.
Um, yeah, which is very nice. So we stayed at a villa in Italy, and I arranged my photos so that we were driving up to the villa, and here's the road leading to the villa, and then here's all the rooms and the yard and
Mm-hmm.
so you can arrange your album any way you want, and that's really great. Now, if I decided to revoke that album or delete that album, yes, it would delete it from other people's computers as well. Now, hopefully, they would have used any pictures that they wanted into their own albums, and probably I would never delete an album anyway. So,
I got yeah. Well, of course, there's if you're really trying to share these photos, because it wasn't exactly vacation, but last year we had a wedding, and I'll be honest, this is such a headache for, I guess, not really thinking about it and just knowing you have to do it. I still have photos on my phone that are from last year that my mom still wants, but yeah, it's I could do it. Just be clear, I could do it. I'm capable, Computer America. But it's such a nuisance that I still have photos about a year later that I need to upload to my parents. So
right.
this is very interesting.
And some things are never really easy. In other words, you go on vacation and you take 500 photos. Well, you really need to go through those photos and throw away the duplicates and the
Yeah.
ones that were out of focus and the ones that had that you didn't like, ones you looked too fat in or whatever. So you should do that, and that's almost like going through a bunch of photographs that you took and got a physical photograph. You do have to do that, but Google does make it easy to share. And the one thing that they've created that was just announced this year, I believe, is called Live Albums.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so you go ahead and you choose. Usually, you take the same pictures of the same people and send them to the same people, right? So if you're taking pictures of your family and your pets and sending those to your parents, you can just choose people in your family and your pets and create what's called a live album. And that means anytime you take another picture that goes into Google Photos, which is automatic, the album that your parents have will be updated. They'll see the new photos. This is a phenomenal way to keep up with the grandparents that you want to send pictures of the kids or whatever it is. And it will just keep on going until you decide to stop it, I guess.
Yeah, we pulled up the blog there that explains it, and it looks like a dream come true for, because just kind of automating that process of taking a photo and then sending it to someone, just so that it's always there. Very important. And really, it's just between Google and Facebook and all these other companies, it seems like they're trying to come up with innovative ways to help people manage their photos, because they know that everyone is taking them. It's just not everyone is looking at them because they can be disorganized. So I guess just having a handful that are sent automatically to your grandparents or something like that really takes the hassle out of taking, I guess, not keeping in touch with your parents, because you should always do that, but it just takes the hassle out of giving the photos to the right people, I guess.
Right, yeah. It is a good idea. And the other idea that they had that I really liked as well, this was a recent thing, is they can now create a photo book for you. So
Photo
you
book.
choose the pictures that you want. I don't know exactly how many you're allowed. It might be something like 100 photos for $9.99 or something like that.
Uh-huh.
But then you can add more photos, and so those are good ways to good presents, good ways to keep things if you want to have a couple of if books that you want to
Oh,
have the actual physical paper photo album on. And
yeah.
and Google is also creating now. This is something very recent. They will create a photo book of your pets, because they know that people take pictures of their pets probably more than a lot of other things.
Mm-hmm.
And so they will automatically create a photo book for you. And of course, you don't have to buy it if you don't want to,
Right.
but you can look at it and you can purchase it if you want. Um, this is all done under what's called Google Assistant
Mm-hmm.
in the photos. And Google Assistant is, they do all sorts of things. They do collages. They make movies. They stylize your photos for you, and you can go into the assistant and see what the assistant has done. And if you like it, you save it, and if you don't, you can get rid of it. It's all pretty amazing, and Google keeps adding more and more and more stuff.
Yeah, and actually something that we should mention, before too long. But this article, conveniently, just came out. I think yesterday around noon. But and Sandy, you might not have heard about this, but Google is ending, and this is me reading the title. Google is ending integration between Google Photos and Drive because apparently it's too confusing. So I guess
Yes.
so for the power users that tried to sync the photos between Google Photos and Google Drive, and they were getting duplicates, they were getting photos in both places, they were clogging up their Google Drive with data that should be free on Google's Photos. Looks like they're stopping that, or at least they won't automatically appear in Photos and vice versa.
Right. They allow you to control it more. And this is just starting right now. You said yesterday, that's probably about right. Sometime over the next month, they're having this new feature rolled out. Um, it's a good feature because, as you said, people were getting confused. Unfortunately, there's a lot of confusing things in Google Photos.
Mm-hmm.
And either fortunately or unfortunately, depending on how you look at it, Google keeps updating it and changing things. Now, in some cases, like this integration between Google Drive and Google Photos, it's a good thing. Okay. But in some cases, they'll take something away that you've been using for a year or two, and they don't tell you about it. And this is not just Google. Microsoft does the same thing. I wrote an article recently on how Microsoft had all this wonderful stuff in one of their updates, but they didn't tell anybody about it. And the same with Google. Google has a blog, and I think it's at blog.google/products/photos.
Yep.
It's a great little blog for information, but they don't put enough information out there. They don't tell people how to. There is a Google Help page, yes, but some things you just can't even find, and some things change so quickly that it can be aggravating, actually. I love Google Photos, but sometimes it's very aggravating.
That has been a consistent complaint with Google for as long as Google has tried to start up these, kind of secondary companies or these other services that weren't search engine. Was that they are quick to start them up and they're quick to let people use them, but then they're equally as quick to take them down, change them, or entirely remove them. Most recently, I could think like Google Plus. That hey, sometimes it leaves people with whiplash and they don't realize what's going on with their photos. But
Exactly. And
yeah.
if they would just educate people, like their blog, their photo blog, it's got good information, but they post maybe, I don't know, maybe 10 articles a year at most.
Yeah.
Why not post more tips on how to do things, and post things that when things change, they can actually go and educate the people to say, okay, we've removed this, but we gave you something better, or whatever the case may be.
Maybe they're hoping that people go to Compu-KISS.com and look for those tips. But I will
Maybe,
say that
maybe I'll be putting some up there shortly, and
very important.
that might be. But
Mm,
I'll give you a great example.
sure.
I made an album, and by the way, with Chromecast, if you have a Chromecast on your TV, you can then show your pictures from your phone to your TV.
Mm-hmm.
It's really a neat feature. Okay, so I did that, and I showed my husband the album, and he said, "It's very nice. Boy, they did a great job. You did a great job. But how come there's no music? It would be nice if we had music." So I went to Google Assistant in
Mm-hmm.
Google Photos, and I clicked on movie, and found out that you could they would make some movies for you, but in order to make your own movie, it wouldn't allow me to do it on my desktop. However, I can do it on my cell phone. This is a problem with Google Photos. There are certain things that you can do on your desktop and certain things that are easier to do on your phone, and totally different. So anyway,
Mm-hmm.
I decided to make a movie. And the movie is how you can put music to the background. Now, I found the process a little cumbersome, because I couldn't. What I wanted to do is just take my album and make a movie out of it,
Right.
and it did not allow me to do that directly. I hope that Google will add that capability in the near future. In the meantime, I went ahead and made a movie, and it seemed like all went well. It said the movie was created. I saved it. Then I couldn't find it. Okay, so I made another one. Same thing happened. Couldn't find it. Went online and found a bunch of other people that couldn't figure out where the movie went to. It turns out in the end that movie is in Chrome. So you
Really?
have to start the Chrome browser and go to Google Photos from the Chrome browser, and then you'll see the movie. Now, this is something that hopefully Google will change, but this is something they could publicize. They could tell people when they make a movie what happens to it. And nowhere in their help site did I find any information on it. I just ran across something that somebody said, hey, I solved the problem. And that was it.
Yeah, and finding out where files go after you download them because a lot of people should have a download folder that everything typically goes into, and for Google to, I guess, kind of subvert that and say, hey, here's where it is, or not say here's where it is, very, very confusing. But you were able to get the movie, and you were able to stream that to your Chromecast TV.
Yeah, and it works. It works like a charm. I can also have Google Home. I can just say to Google,
Yeah.
go ahead and play my album on the TV. And I actually have two TVs in the house with Chromecast. So it'll say, which TV do you want? The bedroom TV or the other TV? I'll say the main TV, and it'll show the album right on the TV. So, but I can't do that with a movie, you see.
Yeah.
I should be able to, in my own mind, I should be able to do that.
Definitely, and at the same time, like that whole feature that you're talking about, sound, and I don't know if you wanted specific music or if you wanted random copyright-free uplifting music or something like that, but that sounds like a feature that I think is in Facebook. I haven't used Facebook too much recently, but it's like memories or something like that, where they'll actually
Right.
take a lot of your recent posts and pictures and friends' pictures and try to sort and organize and collect them into a little movie themselves.
Yes,
Yeah.
and Google does the same thing. And if you now to back up a minute, when you
Sure.
said what music you might use with an album,
Hmm.
it does give you a nice selection of music. It gives you everything from classical music to electric music that you could use with your album. You can also use music that you have on your cell phone. You're playing this from your cell phone, so you can use music that you have on your cell phone. So it's actually a very nice feature. But Google has also added recently the fact that they will make a movie for you. So if you go into Google Assistant and you click on movie, if you're on your phone, you'll see a place you can make your own movie. If you're on the desktop, you will only see the movies that they allow you to make or that they make for you.
Hmm.
They have one called They Grow Up So Fast. You take a child's picture and it'll find every picture that you have in your Google albums from when that child was born, if you have that many pictures,
Right.
to when they're an adult. They have one called the Doggy Movie, and I recently, my dog passed away,
I'm
and
sorry to hear that.
so I have a lot of pictures of him, and I made a doggy movie, and it's got music that barks as it goes, and it's really quite cute.
Hmm.
Cats are I think I don't know if cats are more popular than dogs or not, but they make a meow movie, so you can have all your cats videos together, and they have one called In Loving Memory, which is memory of somebody who passed away.
Right.
um, Love stories, just all sorts of. They have, I think, about 10 or 12 different movies that you can create, that they actually create for you.
Very, very impressive. And Sandy, I kind of have to warn you, we're going to have to go to break here in just a moment. Music playing in the background, but when we come back, we're going to continue on. Let's talk about some of the photo editing that can be done in Google Photos because, hey, I know a lot of people out there like to put filters. I think you can also change the field of depth and things like that. And yeah, we're going to continue talking with Sandy Berger of Compu-KISS.com. Check it out. Everyone, we'll be right back. More Computer America right after this. Everyone, stay tuned.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
800-215-4461. 800-215-4461. 800-215-4461. That's 800-215-4461.
We are all Brother Wolf. 10 years ago, a group of locals banded together to create positive change. We took animals into our homes, held adoption events at local retailers, and talked to the community about our mission to help build a no-kill Asheville. A decade later, we have achieved so many victories for animals in need. There's been so much progress, yet there's still so much to do. As part of our year-long celebration, we encourage you to become a member of our special Compassionate Circle program. With a monthly donation of $10 or more, you will have behind-the-scenes access to the work we are doing at Brother Wolf. Our goal is to reach 1,000 members because we receive no government funding. Working together, we can help build and sustain no-kill communities. Learn more at compassionatecircle.bwar.org. We are a 501c3 tax-deductible organization.
And welcome back to the Computer America Show. It is 32 minutes past the hour as we continue on here. And yeah, everyone, before we get back to Sandy Berger, I do want to mention ComputerAmerica.com and, of course, the podcast. If you miss any part of our conversations today with Sandy, a lot of great information, and of course, hey, you might not catch it all the first time, but if you like to go back, check out anything that we talked about, wherever podcasts are heard, search Computer America, and we should come right up. And hey, you can listen to today's show, yesterday's show, any show, and it's just that simple. So everyone, please check that out. But we continue on, Sandy Berger, and talking everything Google Photos, and really, maybe a little bit later into the conversation, we can of course expand this to just how to be a good custodian of your photos. Whether you need to spread them on social media, whether you need to, kind of be your family's arbiter of photos. Hey, it's a tough job. So, Sandy, thank you for continuing on with us.
Okay, I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, our pleasure, our pleasure. So, and as I mentioned just before the break, we were just talking about all the different things that, sometimes people aren't as creative as others, and I definitely like the fact that it will put everything into little movies, memories, kind of do a lot of the work for you, and you can kind of just export those and share them and things like that. In your opinion, how is Google Photos when it comes to, I guess, exporting photos? Because importing photos, and also we haven't really talked about how to get all the photos into Google Photos, but how is it importing and exporting, I guess I should say?
Well, importing it does automatically for you, but there is also an import and an export icon that you can use. So you can save pictures down to your hard drive if you want to do that. But the photo editing part of it has greatly improved since they brought it out a few years ago. And now you can automatically lighten it. Actually, if the photo needs to be lightened, it'll say here, it'll put a little strip in the top says lighten it here. But then you can go to the editing part and see the original or the changes that you might have made. And it gives you various black and white choices, more yellow, more blue, that sort of thing. It also gives you the ability to lighten, darken, and pop the colors. And it gives you the ability to crop and rotate. So pretty much all the basic things are here. It does not have red eye removal, which I would like to see. But other than that, the basic photo editing things are here, which is kind of neat.
Right, and being able to do those, right there in Google, because I've used the one on my phone, and I think I've used the one with Google. They're pretty basic, but at the same time, I mean, hey, there's really not a lot that you need to do to make a photo look a lot better, and I'm assuming it has some of the automated options as well to kind of do all the settings for you.
Yeah, it has an auto mode, so you could just press on auto and it'll change the photo to where it thinks it should be.
Right.
But you always have the option of going back, which is kind of neat.
Right.
Now, there's one feature that I don't know when this actually appeared in Google Photos, but I did notice it when I started working with my photos. There's a little thing at the top that's a round circle with a play button in it, and it says motion on or motion off. Okay, so I looked up what is this all about? Well, Google Photos actually will take several pictures, especially if you take it in burst mode, but you don't have to.
Yeah.
Just take a regular picture and it will show how things are moving in the photo. It's pretty amazing. So when we were in Italy, there's a famous bridge there, which is the only bridge that the Nazis left standing because they said it was so beautiful.
Yeah.
And so I took a picture of the bridge, and when I got back and looked at the picture, the motion was on. When the motion was on, you could see people walking across the bridge, and in the background, there's another bridge with cars going across it. Pretty amazing.
So,
now you can turn the motion off, and then everything stands still, and you see the picture that you actually took.
Right.
But I have put this in some of my albums, and people have been totally amazed.
What phone were you using on your trip?
I was using an Android Note, Samsung Note.
Samsung Galaxy Note, or yeah. Well, and I'm looking here, and it said, while maybe not the most popular feature on any given Galaxy phone, motion photos. So I'm wondering if motion photos is a Samsung feature that, according to here, Google said, or Google Photos just started to support it April 25th, so about a month or two ago. So I'm wondering if that's a Samsung motion photo feature that Google supports.
I believe it is, and it's absolutely amazing because I send people photos with the motion on, and they're like, "How did you do that? Wait a minute, how did you do that?"
It's kind of like Harry Potter, yeah.
Now, Google also has other things that they support on certain phones, like their Pixel phones. The Pixel 3 actually supports something called POP, P-O-P, and what that is, and they have it in Google Photos, but right now you can't do a POP. Only the Google Assistant can do a POP if you don't have the Pixel 3 phone. What that is, for instance, it just took a picture of my grandson who was standing holding in a brightly colored shirt holding a stuffed animal. And it made the entire background black and white and popped the color just in the child and the stuffed animal he was holding. And
that's really impressive.
It's a really phenomenal feature. I'm ready to get a Pixel phone just so I can try that. They also have the blurred backgrounds that you can do in the photos on the Pixel phones. I think the Moto G6s also support that.
Yeah, and I've heard the same kind of technology. You can do that with. There are tools online that will actually do that for you to remove the background. But the only one that and the one that I saw was remove.bg. as in remove background. And the only problem I had with that was that it kind of only worked on people, and I guess some like very clear, or at least when I checked it out, it was only doing people, and I wanted a background removed of my dog, but it didn't support pets and dogs and cats and things like that. So,
Well, this pop idea is something that's just come up not too long ago, and I think that it is something that they're going to be doing more and more with. At first, I only had in my Google Assistant, I only had one pop photo.
Yeah, it's all machine learning. It's as much fun as those I guess captchas are, where it's like, hey, select everything that isn't a stop sign, isn't a bus, isn't a this, isn't a that. You're teaching machines how to differentiate objects from the background, and hey, this is the benefit of answering all those stupid questions, is these kinds of features. So that's very interesting. And by the way, for anyone out there who has an iPhone, I know that they have live photos, very, very similar, I would assume.
Right.
The only difference is that instead of taking several photos of, I guess kind of people, or people or objects moving, every couple of, a couple times a second, that one actually records like a 3-second video as you take the photo. And I'm not the biggest fan of that, because when you try to export photos like that, it would export a 3-second video clip. And let's say you're taking a photo of one thing and you have this 3-second video clip that it's kind of cool on your phone, because you can press and hold the photo and you can see the video in the context. But when it's just another video in your album, you're like, this is a butt dial video. Like, this video is really of nothing. A picture would really serve better. So I'm not the biggest fan of live photos, but I do like the fact that Samsung has that one though.
Yeah, and I like the idea that they're constantly working on improving all these little details. That makes taking a picture more fun. I mean, I'm sitting here looking at this picture that I took of the bridge in Italy and watching the people walk across it, and it's really, and a bird flying across the screen. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, and that's something that I've noticed. For everyone out there watching the video portion of the show, we've been checking out the Google Photo on Android and the Apple Store, and that's what I noticed about the reviews. Like, especially like the 1 and 2-star reviews of these apps, they're like, it doesn't do this one thing that I would prefer it did it this way. Like, a lot of the complaints people have is that it's not as intuitive as it is for them. But like you said, when you have 500 million users, I think a few of them are going to, just by the law of averages, they're going to not be, I guess, it's not going to be intuitive for 500 million people. So overall, it looks like everyone really likes Google Photos, though, just for storing and sorting pictures.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great program for that. And the other thing that it does have is there's a little icon on the top that has an eye in it, a circle with an eye in it, which is your info button. So you click on any picture and you can get information about it. You can add a description. Now I have a complaint there.
Okay.
That is, they call it a description. You would think of it as a caption, and I would love to see that caption be able to be on the pictures. But when you take the pictures to Chromecast or anything else that you're going to show it on, it doesn't show the description. So that's a complaint I have. But it also gives you the details of when the picture was taken, what it was taken with, and how big it is, and where it was taken. Where it was taken, you have to have the location on your phone turned on in order for that to happen.
Location-based services, right?
But it's interesting.
Yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but that is that the metadata? Because I think that's the metadata, or whatever it's actually called in the background. That's in actually a lot of photos, and that's how I guess people kind of get in trouble is that they share a photo,
True.
what is that called? They share the photos and they don't erase that date, the exact data that you're talking about. And I'm sure Google will, will strip that data if you try to share it. But if you're not careful, that's how people can get your location. They can get your address. They can, kind of
That's right.
work some identity theft in there. So I'm sure Google has a way to, I guess kind of obscure that a little bit.
Right, right. Yeah, you're absolutely right. That is what the metadata is. But I would like to see the captions on the pictures that I'm showing people. See, even I could remember what's the name of this bridge, or what's the name of this picture, or who painted it, or whatever. I think that would be an important addition if they could do that. And you're right, it has to do with metadata, and the metadata is not all taken in when it's shown on like a Chromecast or something like that.
Right.
Interestingly enough, this info thing was interesting to me. When we left for Italy, we decided we would take my husband's phone and not take my phone, just because the rates are so expensive if you do roaming over there. And so anyway, we only had one phone, and when we're walking out the door to go to the airport, I realized I won't be able to take my own pictures because I won't have my phone. So maybe I should take it. And then we were going back and forth, and finally decided that I would look in my magic box of old things. And I came up with an old Fujifilm little camera, okay, that had been sitting in the drawer for years. And I had the battery, I had the charger. So I grabbed it all and took it with me. I got there, I charged it up, taking pictures beautifully. But when I tried to set the date on it, it was so old that the most current date that you could use was 2011.
I guess that's I guess that Fujifilm never would have imagined that we would have made it to 2019. That's
right.
I gotcha.
Anyway, it was a 12 or 16 megapixel camera, so I went ahead and I took pictures with it, and some of the pictures turned out amazingly good for an old phone, an old camera. So then I come back and I put all the photos in Google Photos, and I can't find anything from this camera. And then I searched for Rome, and when I searched for Rome, the pictures came up. Of course, they were all dated 2011.
Yeah, the
and the info on it says 2011, and Google actually, unless you change it, they put things chronologically. So 2011 was a long time ago.
Yeah, no, that would be behind a decade worth of other photos that you've taken, and I guess the same thing would happen. Like, let's say if I scanned all the photo albums, like even though the photo albums are, maybe my family perfectly labeled them. This is 1954. This is 1973. The metadata that we're just talking about, or the XIF whatever data, that is still going to read, like, let's say I scan it today, it's going to read June 13th as 2019 as the date, even though they can be dated as far back, and you have to go in and manually change it. But it's something, much like you learn to really pay attention to. I'm actually wondering why you didn't just take your phone and just take
pictures
and just keep it in airplane mode, just so no data was going to, come out either way.
Yeah, I thought about doing that. And the reason I didn't is because I would have these emergency calls coming in of people who needed me to do something for them. And I didn't want to disappoint anybody. And yet I didn't want to be bothered by these calls, because once you answer that, then you're on roaming and all that other stuff.
That's true.
That's why I didn't take it.
Okay. So
interestingly enough,
yeah,
you can go into Google Photos and go into the info and go into the details and change the date.
Right. Yeah.
I was able to, the pictures that I wanted to save, I was able to change the date on them.
That
I
and
just, it was
that's
just
very good.
something weird that happened.
Definitely good, and I'm glad that you decided to disappoint everyone instead of just a few people. So that's perfect.
Right. Yeah.
And so,
Thanks, Ben.
hey, our pleasure. So Google Photos, and doing all this. So now let's say you have all your photos are in Google, and you're sharing albums with your friends. You know, I guess, what do you do with them after that? Are you posting them to social media? Are you giving people a link are you emailing people a link that they can share through Gmail? How are you really finding yourself sharing the photos with, let's say, your family that didn't go with you on the trip?
Right. Actually, I'm sharing photos. You know, some photos with some people and some photos with other. Some albums with and everybody in my group that we were traveling with. I've shared my albums with them. Um, I'm not doing much on social media. Probably not as much as I should. Um, but that's the way it is right now. So I think that you need to these photos are meaningful to certain people.
Hmm.
um, Now I know I can put everything out on social media, and some people will enjoy looking at it, but a lot of people will not. So I don't know,
Yeah.
it's all in how you look at it. Do you share your photos on social media?
I only shared the one on my personal, social media page. Actually, I thought about it, actually on my way to the airport after my entire trip to Dallas, I realized that I missed the opportunity to, write this off as a business expense, because I could have contacted, I saw Texas Instruments building in downtown Dallas. I was like, I could have called them and, asked for a tour and, talked to some people at Texas Instruments, and I could have wrote it off as a business expense. But no, it was all personal. And because it's personal, I'm like you, I only share one or two photos, and everything
Yeah.
else is for me. And I've shared them with my parents and things like that. But I'm not one of those people that fills up, let's say, an Instagram account with my with my travels.
Right.
So,
Yeah. And some people do, and some people really enjoy that, and I can understand that as well.
but I don't like
Um,
looking at them, much like you. If I'm not in the photo, then they're a lot less interesting to me. So I got
well,
you.
one thing that I did want to mention to everyone, the idea of taking your Google Photos and putting them on the TV with a Chromecast. I mean,
Hmm.
it's phenomenal. Any new high def TV that has an HDMI port can take a Chromecast, and if you have internet at home, you hook up wirelessly. Um, $35 for a Chromecast or $69 for a high def Chromecast. Uh, if you think back to when your grandfather or great grandfather dragged out a computer screen, not a computer screen, a foldable screen, and a big, big device with a slide projector to show you
Yeah.
their vacation photos. I mean, they spent hundreds of dollars on that equipment just to show their photos, which basically weren't that good back then. So now we're taking phenomenal pictures, and being able to put it on a high def TV for $70 is I think fabulous.
Yeah,
Now,
there's a few family videos that are still on VHS somewhere around here that I need to get around to getting, but because I don't know the lifespan of a VHS tape, but I don't want to figure that out. I want to get those things off. But
I think
yeah.
you're getting close.
Yeah, but you're right. Doing this has never been easier, cheaper, faster. I mean, a lot of people already have a phone for a variety of reasons, and being able to use Google Photos, like you said, free to enter and free to kind of share. And by the way, are there any paid options for storing, I guess, kind of higher quality or larger files? Are there any kind of like tiered programs that Google offers?
There are, I believe you can store photos for free up to 16 megapixels, and once
Hmm.
you get past that, if you
And
want to store
1080p. Yeah.
more, you can pay Google a monthly or a yearly fee to do that. And right now, the last time I looked, I don't remember the numbers exactly, but Google was a lot cheaper than Apple.
Yeah.
So if you're comparing storage prices, that's another reason that a lot of people are definitely going to Google. Another thing about Google is that they have their home devices now. The Google Home Hub. is a small device. You can also get bigger smart devices that they can actually function as a picture frame. So what you do is you set up your Google Home device. If it has a screen, you set it up in ambient mode and you choose the photo albums that you want to see on that picture frame. And it actually sequences through it. You have choices on how fast or how slow to go. But if you recall, when picture frames are still out there, digital picture frames. But the last time I looked, they were like $300. And all they did was show the pictures. So a Google Home Hub is a picture frame that's around $100 that can show your pictures as all day long, if that's what you want. Pictures, and you can choose pictures of your dog, pictures of your vacation, pictures of the family. It's actually a very, very good photo frame.
Yeah, I've definitely seen some of those photos. I have actually had some of them on the show with us, and photos like that. Father's Day is coming up this weekend, so Craig, if you're listening, hi. You'll be getting McDonald's, so good luck with that. But for everyone else, I mean, like a gift for I guess dads, it's always really hard to kind of pick one, and I always try to recommend a digital photo because hey, you can stream any photos that you want, and it's a great way that, just something can sit there, and it can be an ever-changing gift, kind of as things go on. So, and by the way, just real quick, we're running really short on time, Sandy, but I did want to say that because Google has Google Photos, I was wondering, and, we mentioned things like Apple and whatnot, I was wondering, yeah, what about Amazon? Amazon is not really one to be left out in the cold, and turns out Amazon does have their own Photos app as well. So maybe that might be worth something checking out, because if you're anything like me, Sandy, or a lot of people listening out there, you have a Google account, you have an Apple account, and you have an Amazon account. So
That's right. And they do have their own photo apps. And I do have that running on a Google device with a screen. Amazon device with a screen. But it is more difficult to get your photos into Amazon and more difficult to handle them than it is with Google.
So you definitely recommend Google over Amazon.
If you're going to use it as a picture frame, or you want to just use it to show off your photos, definitely Google has the edge here. One thing that I just quickly want to mention, Google will make of your albums, when it shows it on a Google Hub, it will often make a collage of the pictures, and it does this, through its own AI, so it might not be exactly what you want. But another thing you can do in the Google Assistant is you can create your own collage. So you can take whatever pictures you want and however many you want, and you put them into a collage and then put it into an album, or just save it as a collage. And there used to be plenty of programs that actually did that, and they've all been outdated by stuff like this Google Photos, where you can, in 2 seconds, you can make a collage of the photos that you want.
Yeah. So Sandy, tell me what happens after you've used this and you came back from vacation, and if there was time, I wanted to talk to you about the differences that you found in traveling overseas and things like that. But maybe next time. But with all this being said, what can people look forward to over at Compu-KISS with this new topic? Are you going to write an article? I
am. I've already written it for the Pilot, which is a local newspaper called. It's www.thepilot.com, and you can see my article on what to do with your photos. And this one really talks a lot about the Google Home Hub and about Chromecast and how you can show your photos online. And that will go on Compu-KISS within the next few weeks.
I gotcha. We'll certainly keep an eye on it. And Sandy, we are like flat out of time, and great topic. I know that we came into this kind of blind, but I just so convenient that you came back. And again, I'm happy that you flew there and back all in one piece. And I learned something, and I'll probably do this myself, because if nothing else, it's just so hard to share photos, I guess, is the hard part that I have. So,
well, the live photos sounds like it's made for you.
Yeah,
Were you-
that's
Yeah,
that's
I
definitely
think
what I'm
I
gonna go
think you
for.
should try that with your parents and send them pictures
Oh,
constantly.
and just to tack this on at the very end, stupid question. Can you do videos in this?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So that's good because I have a couple of photos that, or I'm sorry, I have a couple of videos that, have context with the pictures. So that's very important to me as well. So Sandy, we're out of time. I want to thank you so much. And again, looking forward to seeing the article over at Compu-KISS.com. We'll throw a link over to the pilot as well. And Sandy, any last words before we say goodbye for the month?
No, I'm still working on my photos. Having a good time actually creating movies and doing things that I'd never did before. So,
Perfect. Great to hear. Great to hear. Looking forward to you coming on next month. I hope that you feel better. And yeah, thank you so much for coming on.
all right. Thanks a lot. Bye, everyone.
All right. Have a good one. Bye bye. All right, everyone. And so with that, we are done here for the day. I want to thank you so much for tuning back into Computer America. We will be back tomorrow with another correspondent, the one, the only, the illustrious Ralph Bond. He will be joining us 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday. Everyone, we'll catch you then. Bye bye.